This is a plugin I've been developing for my own projects for some time now, and I thought it could be interesting to share it. So what it does is that it streamlines the workflow between Krita and Blender, enabling seamless transition between the two softwares. It allows you to link a Blender scene to a Krita layer and export 2D objects as individual 2D layers. This is especially useful for mixed media projects where you want to integrate 3D element into a 2D drawing. Here is a concise yet comprehensive guide on how it works. To use this plugin, make sure you are running Windows and have one of the latest versions of Krita and Blender. Other versions might work, but they haven't been fully tested. Now download the plugin, open Krita and go to Tools, Script, Import Python plugin from Files. Select the zip file you downloaded, approve the plugin activation and restart Krita. To display the plugin interface, create a new project, open Setting, Dockers, Blender Workflow Bridge, and you're done. The first step is to create a panel group layer. This group must have a unique name, followed by the suffix panel group. Inside this group, there needs to be a panel template paint layer. This layer defines your drawing area and determines the pixel ratio of the Blender camera. This system is designed with comics in mind, where each panel group is a comic strip panel, but it works just as well for individual drawings. Your panel template can be any shape. It will be converted to a rectangle in Blender, but the imported layer will be cropped back to the shape of the panel template using the inherit alpha feature from Krita. For example, here is a panel layout for a comics I'm working on. This single drawing is divided in 4 rectangles. I can go ahead and create a panel group layer matching this layout. You can sketch directly within the panel template, as I accidentally did here, but it is best to keep your sketch in separate layers within the panel group layer to avoid altering the template shape. On this sketch layer, do not hesitate to go wild and draw even outside of the panel template boundaries. Only the template layer matters to set the boundaries of the drawing. When your sketch is ready, press Launch from Panel. The first time you ever use this add-on, it will ask you for the blender.exe path. Every time you use this extension in a new Krita file, it will ask where to save your blend file along with the prefix for the file names. The script will use the data to generate a folder structure as follows. You can set the same folder and prefix to 2 different Krita files to have the Blender file stored at the same place. Once set, Blender will open and your camera will match the panel template pixel scale. If you need to adjust the panel template or the sketch, simply save and close the Blender scene, make the change in Krita, then relaunch from panel. The plugin also includes an adjustable extra margin around the panel template that can let you some space for later adjustments once back in 2D. Finally, another very important feature is the template blend file that will serve as your default scene for every new blend file created with the extension. Here, I have already created this file with the default Blender scene. As I have not started working on the 3D scene, I can simply set my personal template blend file, delete or rename the Blender file of this panel, and relaunch from panel. Now, let's build our Blender scene. You can use either Cycles or Eevee, although Eevee might work best. To build my scene, I am using different procedural tools I have developed with Blender Geometry Node. As of right now, they are not ready to be released, but will probably someday be available in the same GitLab 2D to 3D workflow group. While working on your Blender scene, do not hesitate to use versioning to keep a backup of previous version of your work. The Krita extension will always open the version of the file with the highest number at the end. Before exporting, check that object pivot points are centered, as they are used to determine the layer order by distance to the camera. Once it's done, open the Export to Layer Tools window, which should be available in the right menu if the scene was opened by the Krita plugin. Add to Render will add selected objects to the Object to Render collection. Each object present on the Render collection will be exported as a layer. Add to Floor will add selected objects to the Floor collection. The Floor collection will be rendered as a single layer that will appear in the background of all other layers. Add to Fuse layer will add selected objects to a Fuse collection. Fuse collections are going to be exported as a single layer. This can be useful to export objects made out of multiple parented objects, or just to avoid having a million useless layers. Also, you can organize related objects into collections that will translate to group layers once back in Krita. You can add Fuse collection to these collections. Sub-collections aren't supported though. Also, make sure the objects in the collections are not too far apart in the layer hierarchy, because this might end up messing up layer order once back in Krita. If you made a mistake and imported an object you don't want to be rendered, you can unlink it by pressing right-click and selecting Unlink. In the Modifier tab of the object added to the collection render, a geometry node has appeared that can allow you to adjust render shadow settings. For example, here I have some fake tree shadows that are less messy than the one produced by these procedural trees. To use them, my foliage objects must not emit shadows. Except, I still want the foliage objects to emit shadows on themselves. So I can just press this button and the foliage will emit shadow only when rendering its own layer. It's a good idea to run a test render first to confirm everything looks as expected. Make sure unnecessary objects are hidden or they will show up on every layer. When ready, click Export to Layers. The Blender window will freeze during the render. Depending on your scene complexity and layer count, this can take some time. You can track progress by opening the Blender console or by checking the render section of the generated folder path. Before importing your rendered layers, you can set your preferences. Personally, I like to import my images as file layers. This can allow me to update them simply by doing a new render, but this prevents me to work directly on them. To work with this setup, I like to activate the Add Paint Layer option, which will put each image in its own group layer with an already created paint layer on top. With this setup, all the images will automatically update if you relaunch a render without adding, deleting, changing the order or renaming objects of the Blender scene. Now, you can also simply import the images as paint layer and work directly on them if you don't feel like an update will be necessary. You can now select any layer of the panel group and press the Import 3D Exported Layers button. It should open a folder browsing window directly in the folder where the images have been rendered for the selected panel group layer. Note that the historic of past render is kept in the same folder as the current render and you can still import them if you change your mind. If the script detects the panel group, it will place the imported images correctly within it. You are now ready to continue working in 2D. For the upcoming feature, the most important thing missing is the ability to properly reuse scenes. You can kinda do it by playing with the template blend file feature, but I would like to implement this with more options, like linking two panel group layers to the same scene simply with different cameras, or allowing to create a linked scene to the original where the user can unlink specific elements if needed. I would also like the possibility to import different paths for each layer. A shadow path would be a good start for non-photorealistic render. I also have the update render option, which is already partially developed, but which need a lot of things to figure out. That's about it for this guide, but do not hesitate to ask questions or report bugs. I hope everything was clear and that it will help you in your creative journey. Thank you for watching.